I hate this movie. I really do. Oblivion is a symphony of hackneyed writing, so many shortcuts, so damn lazy. It's pretty, not smart, chock full of cliches, and sans even a primordial sense of the philosophical questions it implicates. Now, this review is inevitably going to overlap with other reviews, so credit where it's due, but the vast majority of viewers will notice the gargantuan plot holes in this mess. Oh, look, it's a ship thing in the logo, oh my god.
Earth. Before the war.
So we start off with an incredibly not mysterious dream, and this sequence is shockingly overused to make sure the dull, slack-jawed audience can follow the pedestrian plot. Of course, not just a dream, and of course you've already met.
But we've never met. Victoria and I were assigned together. In 2 weeks, our mission here will be finished, and we'll join the others. But the questions I ask, she doesn't. The things I wonder about, she won't.
The protagonist starts out by explicitly explaining what happened before, how he feels, and what is currently happening. Why not make it into a goddamn audiobook? So he explains that some goofy aliens came around and destroyed the moon, and subsequently the Earth was thrown into chaos, and there were tsunamis and natural disasters all over the place, and then there was an invasion by these forces. Every ounce of this could have been elegantly weaved into dialogue or worked into imagery, but no. There are other buildings in DC, it's not just the monuments on some naked landscape. So he continues to explain that the world is no longer habitable because they used the nukes or whatever, and they're all up on this Tet, waiting to go to Titan, one of the moons of somewhere, so they can all be back together again. But they need the water or something from Earth to be able to support that.
Jack wants to know. He wants to understand things, and he's not satisfied with not knowing the answer to something. You know, he's a guy who fixes things, and he understands how the drones work, and he understands how things work, so he is very curious about why.
Then he hops in the ship to get to work, but they throw in these forced character quirks that are not endearing. They actually did build this ship for the movie, which is pretty cool, but hence the orgiastic scene here of turning the damn thing on.
Morning, Bob.
First quirk, he talks to an inanimate object named Bob.
Cleared, be careful out there.
Always am.
No, you're not.
You're right. Gotta work on that.
And that was it. That was the moment I knew this movie would be shite. Vika talks to Tet computer lady, and she tells her that 2 of the drones are offline, and she relays that information to Jack, who's supposed to go check on these things. And they manage to build a space station, but can't manage a decent video resolution. Jack's on his way to the downed drone, and you get the first action beat. Jack's ship is hit by lightning. Then Jack plummets to his death, and we never see him again. Or wait, he pulls out at the last second and has no bearing whatsoever on the plot. So he finds a drone, he's going to fix it. In the opening, he says that their memories were erased 5 years ago. Oh, look at that, he likes baseball in the future, what a quirky guy. How do they choose which memories to erase? How does he know how to fix drones? Did they teach him? Implant it? Here he uses gum to fix the drone, another cliche. But was he taught that after the memory wipe? How does she know how to use all that equipment? Are the ships human? How do they know how to use those?
I read about this game. It was played right here. The last Super Bowl.
Please don't tell me it was a classic.
I know he says he read about it somewhere miraculously, but he uses terms fluently, like Hail Mary, wide receiver, linebackers, rookie, third string, and how much a touchdown's worth. The point is that a savvy writer would demonstrate the fact that he doesn't have a real grasp on these concepts because all he did was read about one game in one publication. And yeah, she implies that he talks about it a lot, but he uses the vernacular of a long-time dedicated fan. We get the second action beat, and oh my gosh, turns out it was a dog. Now this is important. The drone kicks on and notices the dog, and Jack is clearly concerned that the drone's going to think that the dog is an enemy and attack it. So he does a cliche thing, the protagonist cares about animals, shoots off his gun, and the dog runs away. That'll come into play later.
welcome.
He says that as if he hasn't been fixing drones for 5 years without a thank you. Now he's on his way to the second droid. And the question is, where the hell is he supposed to be? He's got snow-covered mountains. He just came from the stadium. And he ends up in a dry sea or something with a bunch of beach tankers. All within the same day. And, of course, he's on a motorcycle. No front flip for style there. So he finds the other drone down a hole or something. A well-manicured hole, oddly enough. He makes his way down the hole to check on the drone. And it turns out the scavs tricked him. Jack steps in a trap. He narrowly escapes. Leaps across as we get a nice Tom Cruise's falling face. But listen to all the scav noise at this point. He eventually makes it back up, attaches himself to the rope. It doesn't work out and he takes a hard fall. The scavs are closing in on him and making their weird noises. Then we get the first of many. Thing comes in at last minute to save main character. So the droid starts cleaning shop and you get more monster noises. Here we get him saying Tech 49 Jack Harper to try to prevent the droid from attacking him.
Jack Harper, Tech 49.
The thing has trouble understanding him and almost wipes him out on that basis. Oh, that's lucky, there's a rope there. So he finds a thematically relevant book in the midst of the rubble and the firefight.
Come on, not my goddamn bike!
Despite him having lost his bike, it's still dusk by the time he gets back. Look at that, he also had a limp, but made the trek anyway. So we get another dream flashback. He reads one canto on one page of one book he randomly picked up after an extremely dangerous fall, firefight, and miraculous escape. He uses a couple of idioms that likely wouldn't make sense to these characters.
She's a sitting duck.
He also uses the idiom needle in a haystack at one point. So the question is, this far in the future, are these characters going to use these kinds of idioms? Does that make sense? Notice also that she is the one that's at home, preparing the food, and doing the clerical work. He gives her a plant, and she throws it over the side just to emphasize that wifey just doesn't get me, and he's a rebel. Quick question, what was the point of blowing up the moon? Were they literally trying to throw off the climate to decimate the human race before they arrived? Was that the whole point? Because there were a hell of a lot of variables for them to take into account to determine this a viable strategy for invasion. Notice she changes for both work and dinner. Does she do this every day? I'm guessing most people, if there are 2 people left on the planet, would stick with sweatpants.
It's time to go.
During dinner, Jack explains that he doesn't think that the scavs were trying to kill him.
They were trying to catch me.
So either this was his first encounter with them, or they've been trying to kill him for the last 5 years and just decided to change their mind today. Then there's the pool sex scene. Now the only point of this scene is to establish the virility of the male protagonist. Post-coital, they notice an explosion, and this is one of the hallmarks of bad writing. It happens constantly throughout this film. The protagonist is inspired to act not by some internal mechanism, but by external things that are constantly happening. For purposes of contrast, consider a film like No Country for Old Men. The action is driven by the internal desires or interests or character traits of the characters. So Javier Bardem's character, Anton Chigurh, is inclined to act based on an internal code. Now the story has been set up, the plot has been set up, circumstances have been established, that these characters all have to work within, but once it gets kicked off, then they're driven individually by their respective interests and their respective character traits. Llewellyn is constantly driven by the fact that he's an ersatz badass, and Shigur is constantly driven by the fact that he's a psychopath. For example, at the end, when he goes after Carla Jean, that's in accord with his internal code, but is extremely dangerous for the character, and makes no logical sense without the idea of the character traits of Anton Shigur.
Is that what you're asking me? Is there something wrong with anything?
So he goes to where a signal's coming from or something, and look at that, it just happens to be a building that has personal significance to him. He lands and makes his way in, and oh, recognize that? Inside, he finds this gorilla, and he finds where the scavs had set up this little signal, relay, whatever. Then Jack tells Vika that he's gonna go off calm for a while, and she acts as though it's uncommon for him to go off calm, but he has built an entire cabin and filled it with shit, so...
That's right, Bob. They know where we're going.
So here's the cabin that Jack built, and in addition, he figured out in 5 years how to use solar power. Oh my god, he's talking to a fish. He has quirks, therefore I like him.
I'm gonna miss this place. Would have been great.
Thank you for expressing your thoughts out loud. It's a terrible jump shot. So again, something happens that motivates the character to do something. A ship or piece of a ship has fallen to Earth.
Biotech, stand down.
Copy. Jack, mission wants you to stand down. The drones will handle it.
That's a negative, Tower.
Oh my god, he's such a rebel.
Eyes on this. I want to know this site is secure.
Dr. House, if you're gonna save this patient, you'll need this.
Get this thing out of my sight!
So he flies over to go check on the crash site. Oh, let me move this carefully placed chunk of debris. So he finds out that each one of these pod bed things have a person in them, and oh, gasp, one of them is the woman from his flashback dreams. As he's trying to fathom that monstrous coincidence, the drone starts opening fire on all the other pod bed things.
Stand down!
Well, isn't that just goddamn convenient? He murders all the other ones without hesitation, and suddenly takes a second for this one, and it just happens to be the one that Tom Cruise can jump in the way and prevent from being destroyed. He called it a son of a bitch and told it to back off, so it hurt its feelings, and now it's leaving. Wow, it's lucky that his flashback was of his wife and a place that miraculously still exists. And how long has that thing been floating around without maintenance or any new resources? So he takes his wife back to his girlfriend, which always makes for an awkward moment. And she looks pretty good for 80. It could have literally been any of the crew members for purposes of the plot, but this is that contrived egocentrism. It's that petty male fantasy. There are 3 people, and 2 happen to be hot heterosexual women who are willing to sleep with him.
But none of your crew survived.
What do you mean?
You're the only one that made it.
Did you catch that? That was her whole reaction to your entire crew was dead. Oh, they're all dead. Over it. Got any Funyuns? Then she asks,
How long?
now remember how she reacted to all your friends and colleagues are dead.
60 years. At least.
Oh my god, I'm like 90? Look at this. Look at this. You get a tear for that. A tear.
Don't touch me.
It's a quality guest. And why is she suspicious of Vika but not Jack? They were both part of her crew.
They destroyed our moon, and with that half the planet. And they invaded. We won the war. But Earth was ruined. Everyone's on Titan now. It's the moon of Saturn. We're on the space station getting ready to go.
See? Why couldn't they have just used that? That's a perfectly serviceable way to get exposition in. Now the initial voiceover is superfluous. It's redundant. I hate this movie. She says she needs to get the flight recorder from her ship. So Vika grabs Jack's hand. Some imposter former crewmates of yours have just told you that the world has come to an end virtually and that everybody had to move off the planet because it doesn't function anymore, and you're laughing about some other woman having grabbed your husband's hand. Julia convinces Jack to take her back down to her ship. Notice he's being a rebel again and being driven by an external cause.
Took a pre-dawn patrol and went off comm.
So Vika gives a pretty damn suspect explanation, but Tet Robot Woman is none the wiser, and Jack and his wife has been taken by the scavs. So Jack is locked up in a dark room and notice it's him, not her.
And how can a man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods?
Stop! How in pus-spewing, blood-gutted hell did he happen upon the same passage that Jack read? After being roundly decimated by the drone, were they still watching? Were they still close enough to see him happen upon the book? Did someone sneak into his sky house to check on his reading habits? Or did someone Dewey Decimal the shit and realize it was the one book that was missing and remember the page they had bookmarked? Where, how, why, I hate you.
Old stealth fighter tech shields us from your scanners. Vocal scrambling. Can you hear me, Jack? Keeps your drones confused. Well, most of the time.
Stop. Are you kidding me? First, Jack was concerned about the dog, and this was all the dog said. Second, the drone almost kills Jack just because it can't understand him. So obviously the default is murder, death, kill. Third, I don't think the people in hibernation did a whole lot of talking. Now there was a fourth one. I can't really recall. Right? It was just a minor thing. Oh, that's right. It shot all of you to death in the midst of you making monster noises. Everybody in the world knows why they distorted their voices. Every single person. There's a post-op double hemispherectomy patient right now who knows why you distorted the voices. It was for the twist. That's all, you lazy sons of bitches.
We have a nuke?
Of course it's a nuke. It's always a nuke. They have a drone they want to send up with the nuke. Now, they figured out stealth technology. They figured out the voice distortion. They figured out how to manage a nuke and arm it safely and all that noise. They figured out how to send a signal up to a circling ship to bring it down to Earth. But the one thing they haven't been able to crack is a drone. Why is that? So the Kingslayer is going to shoot the girl unless Jack helps. That's novel. Then, Emergency Ex Machina. That's novel, too. So a droid attacks the base, and it's just that easy. Morgan Freeman lets Jack go. It tells him to go check out the radiation zone.
You've risked all our lives. Everything. What makes you think he's different?
Rival alpha male doesn't believe in the protagonist cliche, and he risked everything on the protagonist cliche. Doesn't his gun disappear right here? So you can see it. It sticks over his head right there, but it's gone in the next shot. Jack takes Julia to a personally significant place for both of them, which happens to double as a way to contact Vika. Sure is lucky that personally relevant place survived. Julia spills the beans, or the jelly beans as the case might be, and tells Jack that they are husband and wife. And oh good, this scene, again, yeah, it's good you're clearing this up because we couldn't have gotten it. This too, and she's got the gorilla. Why do we have to see this stupid scene again? And what does it matter that she has the gorilla? It's obviously not her gorilla. She wasn't there when Jack and Julia were being astronauts. So the gorilla is just tying it back to the fact that it's the Empire State Building. We already knew that because we already have the viewfinder, so there's no point whatsoever to this stupid gorilla. I hate this movie. Then Vika catches them through the ship, renewing their vows or whatever, but this is the image that she sees. This is it. They're not in the midst of some acrobatic sex act. Can we please remember that we're in the middle of a post-apocalypse when aliens have attacked Earth and they're trying to keep humanity going, and she's crying over jealousy. So Jack and Julia head back to Vika, and she's none too happy. They get back, and remember, she only saw the one image, and they've been working together for 5 years.
I'm having a problem with my technician.
You don't know what you're doing.
He found a survivor at the crash site.
Gotta listen to me.
She was impeding his abilities. And he's unfit for service.
I'm sorry to hear that, Vicar. Are you still an effective team?
Oh, goddamn door, Vicar!
Okay, she already said no, so why are we still holding this shot?
We are not an effective team.
Oh, well, that was an anticlimax. Oh my god, drones everywhere. I'm so sick of the damn drones. The drone pops up and gives Judas his just due, which is another cliche. It would be awkward if she survived, but they don't want to tarnish the protagonist. Then this is a pretty sweet shot, but why aren't you firing? Why aren't you firing? Why aren't you shooting right now? He's right there. Why aren't you shooting? Why aren't you firing? Just go ahead and shoot him. He's right there. No, seriously, like, shoot already. I don't know what you're doing. Why haven't you... Oh. Just like that, and a character from off screen saves the protagonist. And that was one shot from the side, but to be fair, this one doesn't seem to have the armor that the other ones do. But I'm sick of these facile explanations for these contrived plot points. So he goes to his boss and he's like, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. And she's like, no, but seriously, Jack, just come bring her with you, come back to the tent and we'll talk about it. So they flee, and more drones. More drones. I thought it was important to maintain these because they were short on them, but after some trickery, he ends up behind them, and he's shooting thousands of rounds at them, but can't bring them down. I mean, Kingslayer did it in one, so I don't know what the deal is. Ugh, you just had to, didn't you? They're on their way into the radiation zone, but he says, no, we're not going to do that, so he's going to turn and leave it, even though Morgan Freeman already told him that it was a lie, and that they tried to kill him, and something's going on, but then, of course, another plot convenience forces the protagonist to go in. Just that easy. Okay, they were just in New York, somewhere near New York, and now they're in a desert. Where are they? Jack finds his clone, there's some clone-on-clone action. Then we even get a clone flashback. You can't kill this scene. This is a zombie scene. She gets shot in the fracas and reacts the same way she reacts to her friends being dead. There's a great philosophical discussion to be had about whether she should be interested in either clone, or whether just the clone that's most like her former husband, and what that would mean for her identity, but it's not addressed. Jack goes to Jack 2's house, and why? Because something external made him do it. Julia's injured. Now this brings me to a major failing of this movie, and it has to do with the way that women are treated. And I don't mean in a PC, decrying misogyny kind of way. I mean, if you can be as misogynistic as you want, but it's got to do something. It's got to mean something.
Tom is a champion.
Vika keeps the house clean, cooks, gets the coffee, and acts as a secretary. There's very little to her, and she's even subordinated as an astronaut.
There's that woman.
He is her only means of living. She can only live when he's back home.
Julia spends the vast majority of the movie's timeline and all the important moments in bed. I also counted 6 times where she was in peril in need of saving. She's also an astronaut, but doesn't have anything technical or substantive to say, and is primarily important for her relationship to Jack. And the last woman is a frigid, old, sexless robot who lies and wants to kill the man. And again, the point is not to police the content that people put in their screenplays or novels or anything else. The point is that these are incredibly superficial characters and an incredibly superficial story. It's just a fantasy. A petty, vacuous fantasy. The only point of this scene is to establish the virility of the protagonist and make sure he gets to hit it before the end.
We'll come back when it's over. Promise me.
Promise me, cliche. They head back to the Scav base, which should have been destroyed already since the drones know where it is now. Okay, seriously, how'd they not see him? It's the Kingslayer, it's not Solid Snake.
Mountain Beach.
What was that?
Mountain Beach.
Yeah, and his sister Plateau Delta. What kind of name is that? Oh, now they send more drones, of course.
Astronaut Jack Harper. Thousands of you.
What do you mean thousands? He was 49, the other guy was 52.
Memory wiped. Programmed to kill.
Programmed to kill? Jack? He's programmed to fix drones. What are you talking about?
The Tet. Feeding off one planet after another for energy.
Oh, I haven't seen that before. The drones attack, and a bunch of people we know virtually nothing about and haven't met are in danger. It has been established that the drones have a weak spot both in the front and in the back, but according to Oblivion physics, the more you shoot at it, the less likely you are to hit it. One main character, one round, sure. 100 people, 10,000 rounds, no chance. Nope, see? Morgan Freeman, you're just shooting too many rounds. That's not the way it works. A little kid falls, and of course the woman does the child carrying. Okay, drone fires right away to kill that guy. Why aren't you shooting? Why aren't you shooting? Oh, nope, you're shooting too much. The other one's not shooting, you're shooting too much. Nope, taking your time. Taking your time. Taking it for what? You could be shooting, but taking your time, and why is that? Oh my god. Here, Jack will show you how it's done. It's that one shot, and you have to be a male character. It's just that easy. Alpha male rival respects him now, cliche. What was the point of the attack? So the drone would be destroyed, and they would have to be the ones who go up to the Tet. She gets in bed, again, right next to a nuclear weapon. Aren't they concerned about radiation? Are Julia and her womb still an effective team? Morgan Freeman was injured in the battle, and they tell him about the plan. Can we just take a moment to talk about the alien plan here? They destroyed the moon and caused climactic upheaval. They took over the planet. They built drones and have tons of them. And they decided to take an astronaut and his co-astronaut off of a ship and make a bunch of clones of these astronauts to be able to send down to Earth to maintain the drones that the aliens built that they make from their space station. And do they have thousands of Jacks also maintaining the space station? If that's the case, how did they get here? How are they incapable of maintaining their own technology without the help of a bunch of cloned humans? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. As far as I can tell, there aren't a bunch of Jacks maintaining all those water machines too, so how are those still running? If they're so completely technologically inept that they need a bunch of cloned humans, how did they manage everything they've managed so far to this point as a species?
Good to see you, Jack. After 39 days of sleep, sounds like you're ready to go.
Well, I'm ready to go.
Your next burn will bring you up level and coast speed at 50-kilometer range where you'll hold.
Jack is on his way to the Tet while listening to the black box from the sleep module. This is what apparently happened previously. Jack and Vicky and the crew are on their way to the Tet. So why are they asleep? They're almost there. Why are they still sleeping when they're about to arrive? Why don't they look worried? It's like they're pulling into a 7-Eleven.
I'm picking up a second passenger, Jack.
The scan picks up a second passenger, but not the gender or the nuclear warhead with it. I'm picking up a lot of radiation, Jack. Is your passenger Nuclear Man from Superman 4?
It's Julia Rusakova.
He's lying, but you can't tell.
A female survivor from the crashed module.
Mission, we're in full ohms burn trying to back out. There's a lot of vibration. We're not getting away from this thing.
Odyssey, telemetry shows structural overstress. Knock off the burn.
There's some kind of tractor beam sucking them right in, so he decides to shoot off the sleep module. Now this doesn't make any sense. How's the sleep module going to get away when the ship can't? Additionally, Julia retrieved the black box from the sleep module. Now you still hear, after the sleep module has been jettisoned, you still hear everything from the cockpit on the black box. Flashback to the present day. Clone Jack's ship's being pulled into the Tet.
I can't help notice your respiration and heart rate have increased.
Now she can tell that.
I'm just excited to finally meet you, Sally.
There's been a pattern of insubordinate behavior recently.
Yeah. I feel bad about that.
Voice analysis indicates you are lying to me, Jack.
I swear to... Now she can analyze voices? Just a minute ago, she couldn't analyze the fact that Jack was lying when he said Julia was on the ship. Now, suddenly.
Jack, that's
Oh my God,
not
it's Morgan
the
Freeman.
survivor you promised me.
No, it's not.
Antagonist compares itself to God cliche.
I am your god.
Mothership down, so minions fall cliche.
Earth. After the war.
Replacement clone is talking to who and why.
3 years have passed since I saw your face. In the day, as memories. Do I haunt your hours the way you haunted mine? If we have souls, they are made of the love we share.
Yank! One of the worst lines in film history. Poor Kingslayer wasn't even a person. This would be like dating your husband's twin. Why is she okay with a clone?
And I am home.
You suck. You guys suck even worse. Go do something else. Apart from the visuals, Oblivion is a poor filmmaking compilation. It bumbles through expressing exposition naturally. It is more plot hole than plot. It recycles cliche after cliche. The characters are vacuous plot pawns, and every interesting philosophical idea goes unaddressed or gets elementary school treatment. I hate this movie. People need to know how bad this movie really is.
I don't want to know!
Well, that's too bad. You just deal with it.
First, the base of every movie is a script, and the script is very important. And well, to take, then it's the director after the script, and to take well, the difference between Oblivion and To the Wonder is very big one, because in To the Wonder there was no script, there was just Terrence Malick.
And you're out hunting for whatever it's worth.
But he told all the story. He told me so many fables and things about my character, about her backstory, everything. I was like a sponge. I bathed in it. So I became her, Marina, little by little, just by talking to him. But and it was a completely different way of preparing character. I had to read 3 big novels, Russian novels: Anna Karenina, Brother Karamazov, and Idiot. They're very very big Russian novels, and that's like 5 scripts together. So it's true that the base was quite strong, and then we discussed it all. And in Oblivion, we had the script, and I spoke to Joe a lot, and to Joe and Tom actually. We rehearsed lots of scenes. We spoke about them. We did script readings, which is, again, rehearsal is something very different, inexistent in Malick's work. He would never rehearse.